Joining us to discuss this is Erol Morkoc, who's Vice Chair of External Relations for Republicans Overseas UK. Hi, Erol. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. So can you explain the significance of this? I've said it's the first time a former president has had to face trial in this way. However, it looks to us as if Donald Trump is relishing every minute in the spotlight and doesn't care which spotlight or why.
Well, both of those are basically true statements. I would say that Donald Trump would probably rather be on the campaign trail right now. However, he has been forced to be in New York, and being that this is the circumstances of what we're referring to as lawfare, or basically warfare using the law against the president during a campaign, he's now turning the courtroom into another one of his, let's say, campaign rallies, as best as you can do in New York, where you don't have very much support, which brings us to this trial, of course, because as they're selecting a jury now, the real question is, will Donald Trump be able to get a fair jury in what we see to be a sham trial? But Donald Trump doesn't back down from a fight. He's a Teflon Don for a reason. This is part and parcel of his character. So it's no surprise to me that he's pontificating effectively from it, because the American people are seeing a gentleman who's been castigated, who's been wrongly accused of everything under the sun. They can't make anything stick. And now they've gone to the complete bottom of the barrel with this complete nonsense of a charge.
So where is the alleged crime here? What is he supposed to or allegedly have done that breaks the law? I mean, having an extramarital affair maybe breaks a moral code, not a legal code. Is paying hush money at all a crime? What exactly is he accused of having done?
So it's an incredible catch-22. Donald Trump apparently, according to Stormy Daniels and Michael Avenatti back in the day, had an affair. Then they didn't have an affair. He even has a signed document saying, I did not have an affair, from Stormy Daniels. But to get to the crux of the issue, they're saying that Donald Trump paid her to go away, and that by paying her, this influenced the election in the sense that people didn't know that this affair, which after the fact didn't happen and looks like a ransom hostage payment effectively for Donald Trump's short-term character analysis, they now are saying that he should have used campaign funds to pay for this because this was a campaign purchase. But of course, if he had done that, that would have actually been illegal because you would have been using campaign funds. So they're trying to allege that he, by not using campaign funds, got around the fact that he could have used campaign funds to pay them. This was all out of the statute of limitations, by the way. This was a misdemeanor at most. They have to re-raise the charges. The federal government denied to prosecute any of these. And now Alvin Bragg, New York City, is charging him effectively with falsifying documents as the real crux of the case. But there's no even evidence of that. It's just a way to keep him off the campaign trail, to keep the most popular president with the American people stuck and bogged down, mired in these sort of quagmires, not to repeat the word.
So you make it sound as if it is exactly what Donald Trump says it is, a kind of war of attrition against him, a campaign to ensnare him and destroy him, something for which he is blameless, and that he's being unfairly attacked and picked on, and that, you know, he's the victim in this and he's not the perpetrator, and this is an atrocious travesty of justice. Does that mean you agree with all of that analysis of what's going on?
100%, especially on this case, whether or not I was a Republican or a Democrat, just as an American. Donald Trump, not only in this case, but say the last case with his real estate. I mean, they just tried to take this man's property away from him on another set of trumped up charges that's going to an appeal from a judge who is politically active, from a jury that's obviously completely, let's go with Democrat leaning, 85% in Manhattan court. I'm not saying that the jury is illegitimate. That's not fair, but it's a very tough to be tried by a jury of your peers in that situation. So absolutely, I agree with it. In this case, as an American, we have a person whose civil rights are being violated. Forget that it's a presidential election. Forget about anything. I mean, these people have run on campaigns to get him. That's unusual and cruel, and it's also targeting of citizens. And that's not how we run our country. That's not the America I grew up in, and that's certainly not how our Constitution runs. So Donald Trump's going to have a very strong civil rights case after all of this boils down, because they've violated this man's civil rights from heaven to high water, and it's very clear for the American people to see.
And when you say they each time, who is they? Who are those that you are referring to? Who is targeting him? Who is making sure that this case is brought to court? Who is funding it?
Well, it's a series of Democratic aparchiks and the DOJ, which has to at least maintain its neutrality, so they can't do these in federal crimes. So they have Democratic operatives. They have For example, Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, she ran her entire campaign on I'm going to get Trump, I'm going to take his businesses away, I'm going to put him in jail. So that's the they. The they is the Democrat operatives who are running a completely partisan government system and a complete partisan justice system that's only targeting one person, one point of views, and one ideology. So the they is it's not a vast conspiracy. It's a pretty clear conspiracy of useful idiots who've been willing to put their name on these illegitimate claims because their careers are entirely tied up to the fact that they got elected to get Trump, and the only way they can stay there and keep collecting their paychecks and get onto their corporate boards afterwards is to keep this charade going because there is no case
And does all of this
whatsoever.
augur well for Trump? You know, in this country, a politician brought to such a trial might hang his head in shame, might want to withdraw from public view, might be full of contrition and remorse, and, you know, might suddenly have a sort of Damascene moment and have a massive religious conversion, or might suddenly start working for the benefit of fallen women. You know, all of those sorts of things have precedent over here. It's not usual to front up, as we would call it, a situation like this and try your very best to make it work for you. But Trump is using it as a kind of extended PR campaign rather than a humiliating trial, isn't he?
Well, why be humiliated by scurrilous lies told by confirmed liars, like Stormy Daniels, for example, who who is not a very reputable person? I would say that some people read history, some people write history. Donald Trump makes history. He's not going to back down from anybody, and he's not going to back down from some small-time New York City prosecutor who thinks that he can impact the entire country from California to Maine to Texas. This little tiny speck in America, unfortunately, doesn't even represent America, let alone itself anymore. It's lost its own way. But Donald Trump, he has a responsibility to all of his voters, all 83, 84 billion of us from the last election, to not let these attacks take him down. And he stands up with pride and he doesn't lose his cool. He doesn't bend the knee. And that's who we like. That's our president. That's why we think he's going to win.
Final question. Did you think that he was a president, when he was president, that made the country proud, that played in an upstanding and imposing manner on the world stage? Did you think that he did a creditable job as President of the United States? And do you think that you really can't wait for him to do so again?
Absolutely. I'm an immigrant to the United States of America, and Donald Trump was the first president in my lifetime who really stood up for the values of the people around me and the people who I grew up with, the America that I knew. And when Donald Trump went on the world stage, he was just expressing the beliefs of those of us in North America, you know, not the people from around the world. He wasn't the world's president. He was America first, America's president. That doesn't mean nationalism means isolationism. Quite the opposite. He was a deal maker, a man of peace, somebody who looked for accords with other people, regardless of the background, having discussions, the fact that we were able to have some detente with North Korea. These were upstanding things that we liked. On the home front, we saw low inflation, we saw jobs, opportunity, we saw, you know, things just getting better. So absolutely, he was not only a great representative for our country, for what our country really is, because when you see Joe Biden, when you see Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, George Bush, these people don't represent anybody I know. When I see Donald Trump, they represent the people in my neighborhood. They represent the people across the United States from every socioeconomic level. He never pretends to be an everyman. He never comes down, and he always talks from a position of a CEO, from a boss position. He never, you know, does the phoniness, oh, I'm one of you guys. And we appreciate that. We appreciate the fact that he's a sincere person, and we would love to see him. I would love to see him personally retake the mantle and put the ship back on track, because it's
Erol, thank you very much indeed.
Embarrassment.
Thanks for your perspective. Interesting to hear it. Thank you very much.